Federal employees must be able to work in a hostile-free environment, free of harassment, free of discrimination, and no one is above the law, and it is the business of this committee to ensure that takes place. This committee's responsibility to conduct oversight over FHFA, and that includes your conduct as well. It is contained in the FHFA anti-harassment policy statement that you signed on August 16th of last year that says FHA will hold all employees accountable for harassment and related misconduct. You state it does not apply to you, correct?
That's correct. The policy simply did not apply to the statute says the policies don't apply to me. I don't know how many more times I can tell you that, and I've tried to explain why they don't apply. Ms. Grimes acknowledged that Director Watt never groped her nor touched her. I did not take any actions or engage in any conduct involving Ms. Grimes that was contrary to law. I am disappointed that it appears that Ms. Grimes is now attempting to use my efforts to advise and mentor her and my efforts to be clear about the limits of our friendship.
I find myself with the responsibility to allow Ms. Grimes to come before us today. Women have come to realize is that many of the processes that are in place absolutely work against them being able to not only present their case, but to fight for what they believe is justice and equality, and to tell what is happening to them, particularly as it relates to sexual harassment. It's a new day. It's a new time. And the old processes don't work quite well anymore.
He would take advantage of an opportunity to make an inappropriate comment to me. It made me feel very uncomfortable. The act of harassing someone makes them feel demeaned, disempowered, and of very little value.
How did this make you feel?
Extraordinarily uncomfortable and, again, unsafe. And I have never in my professional career been diminished to just an object. Not understate the challenges and the obstacles that you face from the time you come forward until you reach resolution. But I lean towards the statement of Martin Luther King that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And that if we all continue to take a stand, that eventually things will and have already begun to get better.
I are getting ready to depart office at the same time. I will not hesitate for a moment to use my power of subpoena if we have any scintilla of evidence that you are not cooperating fully in this investigation. You are on record citing a legal privilege that others do not recognize.
That I'm above the law. I am
got to tell you, Director Watt, it sure sounds
other
like
investigations.
Director Watt, it sounds like you are. And who are you an employee of?
Well, I don't know who I'm an employee of, but I know who the policies of the agency cover, and I've explained that fully.
Ms. Grimes testified that you would not submit to the internal investigation because you believed that you could not be disciplined. Director Watt, who do you report to? Is there anyone who you believe has oversight of your actions?
I report to the President of the United States.
You do not hold yourself to the same standard that you hold your employees to?
I do, yes.
Well, but you refuse to participate in any investigation and do not believe that anyone has oversight. You cannot be disciplined for any of the allegations. You cannot possibly even participate.
I think that our nation is entering a watershed moment. Women are stepping forward and they're making their voices heard. The fact is, anytime there is an imbalance of power, there exists the possibility for abuse and for sexual misconduct. Mr. Watt, what type of leader do you believe you are?
Congresswoman Velasquez, I think if you look at my record throughout my whole life, from the day I started the practice of law in a civil rights law firm, you will find nobody or a few people who are more committed to the things that you all have talked about today. I am a big supporter of the Me Too movement. I think it is a wonderful thing, but it cannot be a substitute for going through the legal process.
I know you to be a very intelligent lawyer, but sir, it just doesn't pass the smell test, and it doesn't pass the American people's outrage test that I are getting ready to depart office at the same time. I will not hesitate for a moment to use my power of subpoena if we have any scintilla of evidence that you are not cooperating fully in this investigation. I hope that this is not how we spend our last few months.
Sexual harassment that oftentimes limits women and minorities' career advancement. It limits their success and limits their well-being.
You believe the harassment policy doesn't apply to you because, as you just explained it, you're a political appointee and you have no boss. You mentioned that Ms. Grimes was your mentee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, should a mentor comment in a sexually provocative way to regarding a mentee's experience? Yes or no? Did you ever comment to Ms. Grimes about her sexual experience?
I would not think so, but
Okay. Did you ever say to her, well, you probably want to know what I wanted to talk to you about. I mentioned to you there is an attraction here that I think needs to be explored. In my experience, there are 4 types of attraction: emotional, spiritual, sexual, or friendship. So the exercise here is to find out which one exists. You ever make such a comment?
I absolutely think that if you're going to mentor somebody, you've got to know what they are thinking. So
About attraction?
I don't have any recollection.
I've had a lot of mentees. I've never discussed attraction with any of them.
Well,
You have a few months to go, and I'm surprised you haven't resigned from FHFA, but I'll leave that to you.
Sexual harassment is always wrong, and those who engage in this hurtful behavior do not deserve our trust and should resign. Mr. Watt, you believe that the anti-harassment policy statement that you signed in August of 2017 does not apply to you in the same way it applies to other employees at your agency?
in this enforcement, it does not apply to me. In its obligations not to harass, it does apply to me, but
People back home are sick and tired of politicians and bureaucrats who think they can play by a different set of rules.
In mentoring someone regarding attraction, that you think that is an appropriate response, much less a responsibility of mentoring, is probably the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard since I have been in Congress.
As a woman of color, a woman who had to work my way up the ladder to success. The time that we are in now with women fighting, with me marching for Me Too, today is very sad and difficult and painful. To you, Director Watt, someone who mentored me, helped guide me through this very committee that I'm on, that she has been sexually harassed. She felt that there was hostility in the workplace and uneasiness for her to come to work. She also stated that she had worked 2 jobs and not been compensated equal pay for equal work.
if these allegations were true, but I just don't think this committee is going to be able to determine that.
Why do you then hide behind language or quibble with whether a standard that is very clear should also apply to you? Because if we're going to actually change the norms in society so that we live in a world where women are not harassed in the workplace, have equal pay for equal work, all the things that so many people fight so hard for, we cannot have people in a position of trust like yourself not subject yourself to any investigation that reclaiming my time, Director, out of respect, but don't you get the sense that no one is buying that argument, right, at its core? I mean, but you as the leader could have embraced this investigation.